The Corvidan Grand Marshal spat on the holographic representation of the human diplomatic vessel. Rules of engagement, declarations of warfare, prohibitions against targeting civilian populations. He rasped a sound resembling laughter through his exoskeletal breathing apparatus. The primates think they can impose their primitive moral codes on the Sixth Stellar Dominion? Admiral Laurel Tarazed of the United Earth Forces watched the intercepted transmission with steady golden brown eyes that betrayed none of the fury building inside her. Her weathered face, marked by decades of service in the void, remained passive as the alien continued to mock humanity's attempts at establishing galactic law. The bridge of the UES Righteous Thunder fell silent. At 1.8 kilometers long, the Thunder class dreadnought represented humanity's ultimate statement in warship design. Not the largest, not the fastest, but unmistakably human in its deadly efficiency and calculated restraint. Their homeworld will make a fine mining colony once we've culled their population to manageable levels, the Corvidan continued. Prepare the extinction fleet. We strike their outer colonies without warning. The transmission ended. Admiral Tarazed turned to her executive officer. Commander Reiko, status on the refugee evacuation from New Brisbane. Commander Navari Reiko's silver eyes, a genetic modification common among those born in the low-gravity colonies of Titan, scanned through data projections. 87% complete, Admiral. The Corvidans have already dispatched 2 attack groups. They'll reach the colony in 11 hours. And the Galactic Assembly response to our petition? The myriad delegates are still debating, ma'am. The Iraqi have expressed support, but most others claim this is a regional dispute, outside their jurisdiction. Tarazed nodded once. Convenient for them. Humanity stands alone, then. Ship Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Vora Pelhai cleared her throat. Admiral, we've intercepted additional communications. The Corvidans are implementing extinction protocols on New Brisbane. No differentiation between military and civilian targets. A muscle twitched in Tarazed's jaw. For 3 decades, humanity had worked to establish basic rules of interstellar conflict, warnings before attack, protection of non-combatants, prohibition of genocidal weapons. The older species had humored them, signed treaties they never intended to honor. Navigator Cadmos, plot intercept course to New Brisbane. Maximum military burn. Admiral? Chief Tactical Officer Merrick raised his head from his station, expression troubled. We're one ship. The Corvidan attack group consists of at least 17 capital vessels. I'm aware, Lieutenant. Their technology is 2 centuries ahead of ours. The only reason they haven't wiped us out already is they don't consider us worth the effort. Tarazed's eyes hardened. That's their first mistake. She addressed the bridge crew. The Corvidans believe our rules make us weak. They're about to learn they're not rules of limitation. They're rules of restraint, and they exist for a reason. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is Admiral Tarazed, battle stations. We are executing Operation Thunderclap. Throughout the massive warship, 12,000 crew members snapped to action. In the cavernous heart of the vessel, engineers activated systems that had never been deployed outside of classified testing. Deploy primary and secondary kinetic arrays, Tarazed ordered. Arm tachyon cascade warheads. Prepare to drop us out of FTL directly into their formation. Commander Reiko looked up sharply. Admiral, that maneuver has never been... The simulations worked 9 times out of 10, Commander. What happened in the 10th, ma'am? Tarazed's lips curved in the faintest smile. We're about to find out. The righteous thunder tore through the fabric of space with mathematical precision, its quantum navigation computers performing calculations no organic mind could comprehend. The dreadnought erupted into real space directly amidst the Corvidan attack fleet approaching New Brisbane colony. 17 Corvidan warships scattered in momentary disarray at the impossible appearance of a human vessel in their midst. The laws of physics themselves seemed to protest. a shockwave of displaced energy radiating from the Thunder's arrival point. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Officer Merrick announced, his fingers dancing across tactical displays. "They're recovering." From surprise faster than anticipated, Admiral Tarazed stood at the center of the bridge, hands clasped behind her back. "Deploy countermeasures. Open emergency channels to their flagship." "Channel open," Communications Specialist Idris announced. "This is Admiral Laurel Tarazed of the UES Righteous Thunder. Your fleet is in violation of Galactic Assembly Resolution 1138 prohibiting unprovoked attacks against civilian populations. Stand down immediately." The response came swiftly, a barrage of needle-like projectiles from the nearest Corvadan cruiser. They struck the Thunder's kinetic barriers, dissipating in flashes of controlled energy. No response on communications. "Admiral," Idris reported. "They've responded clearly enough," Tarazed replied. "Target their weapons platforms only. Surgical strikes." The Righteous Thunder unleashed precisely calculated railgun salvos, each shot traveling at a significant fraction of light speed. 6 Corvadan ships lost their primary weapons arrays in the opening volley. The Corvadans responded with overwhelming force. Energy beams lashed out from a dozen vessels, converging on the human dreadnought. "Kinetic barriers holding at 62%, Commander Reiko reported. "They're adapting to our defensive frequency," Tarazed nodded. "As expected. Implement distortion field." The space around the Thunder seemed to blur as experimental technology engaged. The next wave of Corvadan weapons fire scattered chaotically, most missing entirely, the rest striking with reduced effect. "Corvadan vessels are regrouping," Merrick announced. "They're forming an encirclement pattern." Tarazed's eyes narrowed. "Perfect. Ship intelligence. Has the targeting matrix identified their command structure?" "Affirmative," Lieutenant Pelhai confirmed. "Higher point patterning suggests the vessel at coordinates 227 Mark 9 is their command node. Fire Mercury package, non-lethal, A. Single projectile launched from the Thunder's forward bay, detonating in a brilliant flash that engulfed the Corvadan flagship. Rather than an explosion, it released a specialized electromagnetic pulse that penetrated their shields through quantum entanglement. "Their flagship is experiencing systemic failures," Pelhai reported. "Communications between Corvadan vessels have become erratic." "Admiral," Commander Reiko leaned closer, voice lowered. "We've made our point. We should withdraw. We can't sustain combat against their entire fleet." "We're not here to win a battle, Commander," Tarazed replied calmly. "We're here to teach a lesson. Prepare broadcast on all frequencies, all languages." As the Corvadan ships regrouped for another assault, the Thunder's communications array activated, transmitting not just to the enemy fleet, but to every listening post, colony, and vessel within 50 light years. "This is Admiral Tarazed of Earth. For too long, the elder species have dismissed our attempts to establish basic laws of warfare as naive idealism. Today, that changes. The Corvadan extinction fleet targeted human civilian populations in direct violation of treaties they themselves signed. One human vessel responded. On view screens throughout the sector, the image showed the Righteous Thunder surrounded by damaged Corvadan warships. We could have arrived without warning at the Corvadan homeworld. We chose not to. We could have deployed our most destructive weapons. We chose not to. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of restraint. And that restraint is about to expire. "Final warning to the Corvadan fleet," Admiral Tarazed's voice echoed across interstellar communications. "Withdraw from New Brisbane or witness the full capabilities of a species you've gravely underestimated." The Corvadan response came in the form of escalation, their remaining ships launching planet-killer missiles toward the colony below. "They've fired on the civilian population," Lieutenant Pelhai reported, voice tight with controlled anger. 13 Extinction-class warheads detected. Tarazed's expression hardened. "Initiate Cerberus Protocol." Throughout the massive ship, systems that had remained dormant since its construction surged to life. The righteous thunder had been designed by engineers who understood humanity's place in the galactic hierarchy, outgunned, outnumbered, but never outthought. Releasing phase-shifted interceptors, Tactical Officer Wyatt announced. From launch bays across the Thunder's hull, hundreds of small autonomous drones deployed in perfect synchronization. They accelerated at impossible speeds, each one tracking a Corvidan missile. The interceptors didn't attempt to destroy their targets. Instead, they matched velocity and phase-shifted the warheads into a parallel dimensional pocket. The Corvidan missiles simply vanished. All extinction warheads neutralized, Merrick confirmed. Confusion rippled through the Corvidan fleet. Their most devastating weapons had been nullified by technology they couldn't comprehend. "They're regrouping for another attack," Commander Reiko observed. "Admiral, our barriers can't withstand another coordinated assault." "They won't get the chance," Tarazed replied. "Deploy graviton tethers." The Righteous Thunder's main weapon, Array, rotated, releasing a series of specialized projectiles that embedded themselves in the hulls of the 7 largest Corvidan vessels. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, invisible forces began dragging the ships inexorably toward one another. "What's happening?" demanded the Corvidan Grand Marshal over an open channel, panic evident even through alien vocal patterns. "Release our vessels immediately," Admiral Tarazed finally responded directly. "You misunderstand the situation, Marshal. This isn't negotiation. It's demonstration." The 7 trapped Corvidan ships were now locked in gravitational conflict, unable to escape or fire their weapons effectively. "Your species has existed for 12,000 years, Tarazed continued. "In that time, you've conquered 16 less advanced civilizations and exterminated 7 others completely. You've never encountered meaningful resistance." On the main view screen, the Corvidan ships struggled against invisible bonds. "Humanity has existed as a spacefaring civilization for less than 2 centuries, she continued. "In that time, we've survived 3 extinction attempts by elder species. Each time we've responded with calculated force, then offered peace. Each time, our restraint was mistaken for weakness. The remaining Corvidan ships attempted to assist their trapped comrades, only to discover that approaching the graviton field pulled them into its influence as well. Our rules of warfare aren't primitive moral codes," Tarazed explained, voice level. "They're warnings. They exist because we understand what we're capable of when pushed too far." She turned to Ship Intelligence Officer Pelhai. "Status of the Corvidan homeworld defensive grid?" Pelhai looked up, startled. "We have those schematics, Admiral. Their primary defense network operates on a trinary quantum algorithm that—" "Can you disable it remotely?" Pelhai swallowed. "Yes. With the data we've gathered from their systems during this engagement, we could transmit a cascade failure sequence that would leave their homeworld defenseless for approximately 17 minutes. Tarazed nodded. "Transmit those calculations to the Corvidan Grand Marshal's personal channel." The bridge of the Righteous Thunder fell into silence as the implications of Admiral Tarazed's order sank in. She hadn't commanded an attack on the Corvidan homeworld, merely demonstrated they could launch one at any moment. "Calculations transmitted," Lieutenant Pelhai confirmed quietly. On the main view screen, the trapped Corvidan vessels had ceased their struggles. The remaining ships had powered down weapon systems. "Admiral," Communications Specialist Idris announced, "we're receiving a direct transmission from the Corvidan Grand Marshal. Private channel." Taraz nodded. "Put it through to my station." The Marshal's insectoid features filled her personal display. The alien's compound eyes reflected the emergency lighting of his damaged bridge. When he spoke, the translator rendered his chittering into flat, emotionless standard. "You could have destroyed our homeworld." "Yes," Tarazed answered simply. "Why didn't you?" "Because unlike you, we mean what we say. Our rules aren't weaknesses. Their choices. The Marshal's breathing apparatus clicked rapidly. The extinction. Fleet is standing down. Release our vessels. First, you will transmit withdrawal orders to all Corvidan forces in human space. Then you will sign and ratify the Galactic Assembly protocols on interspecies conflict that you've been blocking for the past decade. You demand concessions while threatening our home world? Tarazed shook her head. No threats. If we wanted your extinction, it would already be underway. What we want is civilization. After a moment's hesitation, the Marshal transmitted the withdrawal codes. The graviton tethers deactivated, releasing the Corvidan vessels. Return to your territory, Tarazed ordered. And understand this wasn't a battle. It was an education. As the Corvidan ships limped away, Commander Reiko approached the Admiral's station. They'll return, ma'am, with greater numbers and adapted technology. Perhaps, Tarazed acknowledged, but they'll remember this day, and they'll wonder what other technological surprises we've kept in reserve. The Righteous Thunder maintained position above New Brisbane as the last Corvidan ship disappeared into FTL. Below, the colony's 12 million inhabitants were emerging from underground shelters, unaware how close they had come to extinction. Admiral, Idris called out suddenly, we're receiving transmissions from across the sector. The Galactic Assembly representatives are requesting emergency session. Our demonstration was noticed. Of course it was, Tarazed replied. That was the point. The main view screen shifted to display an incoming transmission, not from the Corvidans or from Earth Command, but from the Iraqi ambassador, representative of one of the oldest species in the galaxy. The crystalline being's faceted surface glimmered as it spoke. Admiral Tarazed, the Assembly has observed your encounter with the Corvidan fleet. Your restraint was unexpected. Not to humans, she replied. Indeed, the Assembly has voted to convene an emergency session regarding the protocols on interspecies conflict. Your presence is requested. Tarazed raised an eyebrow. The same protocols the Assembly has been debating for 17 years. Circumstances have changed, the ambassador replied. Many delegations have expressed sudden interest in formalizing rules of engagement. The Myriad Collective has already withdrawn their opposition. After the transmission ended, Tarazed turned to her bridge crew. It seems we've made an impression. What happens now? Asked Navigator Cadmos. Now, Tarazed replied, diplomacy returns to the foreground. The thunder fades and quieter voices prevail. She paused. But they'll be speaking our language. Commander Reiko studied her commanding officer. Permission to speak freely, Admiral? Always. You knew this would happen. You knew one ship could change the balance of power. Tarazed's expression remained neutral. I knew humanity needed to shed its perceived weakness without becoming what we fear. The Righteous Thunder isn't just a warship, it's a message. 3 weeks after the New Brisbane incident, Admiral Tarazed stood before the Galactic Assembly on Nexus Station. The cavernous chamber accommodated representatives from 184 spacefaring civilizations, most of whom had ignored humanity's diplomatic efforts for decades. No one was ignoring them now. The protocols on interspecies conflict have been ratified by 162 member species, announced the arbitrator, a gaseous entity contained within an ornate mechanical shell. This represents the fastest adoption of any assembly resolution in 800 years. Tarazed, in formal dress uniform, maintained perfect military posture as countless alien eyes focused on her. She represented not just Earth's military, but humanity's new and unexpected position in galactic politics. Would the human representative care to address the assembly? The arbitrator invited. Tarazed stepped forward to the central podium. Humanity thanks the assembly for its wisdom in adopting these protocols. For too long, advanced civilizations have waged war without constraint, viewing less developed species as either resources to exploit or obstacles to remove. She surveyed the chamber. The Corvidan incident demonstrated that technological advantage is not absolute. Innovation often flourishes most vigorously among those fighting for survival. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Corvidan delegation sat in rigid silence. But this is not about human exceptionalism, Tarazed continued. These protocols benefit all species. They create stability. They prevent extinction-level escalations. They allow civilizations to resolve conflicts without destroying what makes them worth preserving. From her vantage point, Tarazed could see Earth's diplomatic team watching with barely contained pride. Ambassador Daraj had spent his entire career advocating for these very protocols, only to be dismissed as naive. Now he was witnessing their adoption. Humanity did not create these rules, she acknowledged. We merely insisted upon them. Many of the concepts originated with the Iraqi philosophers, or myriad ethical constructs. We simply demonstrated why they matter. After the formal proceedings concluded, Tarazed found herself approached by a delegation of Vashani, a species known for their militant expansionism and general disdain for younger civilizations. Admiral, the Vashani Prime Director addressed her, skull ridges flushing with the blue coloration that indicated respectful caution. Your species has proven interesting. High praise from the Vashani, Tarazed replied diplomatically. Not praise. Observation. The Prime Director's translator struggled to convey nuance. Your demonstration at New Brisbane reveals contradictions. You possess weapons that could devastate advanced fleets, yet you deploy them with surgical precision. You could have destroyed the Corvidan homeworld, yet you chose restraint. Not contradictions. Tarazed corrected. Choices. The Vashani Directorate wishes to understand these choices. We have initiated research into human history. Tarazed concealed her surprise. The Vashani were notoriously xenophobic, typically viewing other species' cultures as irrelevant. What have you learned? She asked. Your species has nearly destroyed itself multiple times. Nuclear weapons, climate catastrophe, bioengineered plagues. The Prime Director's inner eyelids blinked rapidly. You stand at extinction's edge repeatedly, then pull back. Most puzzling. Perhaps that's precisely why we value restraint. Tarazed suggested. We understand our own capacity for destruction. Later, in Earth's diplomatic quarters, Ambassador Daraj raised a glass in Tarazed's direction. The Vashani studying human history, the Corvidan signing peace accords, the myriad actually supporting our proposals. If I hadn't witnessed it myself, I'd never believe it. Tarazed accepted the offered drink. It won't last, Ambassador. This is just the beginning. Always the military perspective, Daraj sighed. Can't you simply enjoy the victory? This isn't victory, she replied, staring out at the spectacular view of assembled alien ships. It's equilibrium, for now. And the righteous thunder? Daraj asked. Earth Command is debating whether to reveal its full capabilities to our new allies. Tarazed shook her head. The thunder demonstrated exactly what was necessary. No more, no less. You're suggesting we keep secrets from our treaty partners? I'm suggesting that respect and trust are different concepts, she replied. One must be earned immediately. The other develops over time. 6 months after the ratification of the protocols, Admiral Tarazed stood on the observation deck of the Righteous Thunder, watching Earth grow larger in the view screen. After an extensive diplomatic tour demonstrating human commitment to the new galactic order, they were finally returning home. Commander Reiko joined her, datapad in hand. Final report from the Diplomatic Corps, Admiral. 17 new technology exchange agreements, 9 mutual defense pacts, 5 invitations for human scientists to study at institutions previously closed to our species. Tarazed nodded. And military. Intelligence? Corvidan shipyards have shifted from extinction fleet construction to defensive platforms. The Vashani have withdrawn forces from 3 contested border regions. Most significantly, the Myriad have proposed joint military exercises with Earth Defense Forces. They're studying us, Tarazed observed. Yes, ma'am. But they're doing it openly now, rather than preparing to exterminate us, the Admiral allowed, herself a small smile. Progress. As Earth Command took control of their approach vector, a priority transmission arrived from Fleet Admiral Okonjo. Laurel, the Fleet Admiral began, dispensing with formalities. Welcome home. Your mission exceeded all expectations. The balance of power has shifted fundamentally. Thank you, sir, though I suspect we've simply bought time rather than permanent peace. Always the pragmatist, Okonjo chuckled. You should know. The design. Bureau has approved your proposal. Construction begins next month on 3 additional Thunder-class vessels. Tarazed felt a weight lift from her shoulders. One ship had been enough for a demonstration, but not for true security. There's more, Okonjo continued. The Galactic Assembly has requested a permanent human representative on the Security Council. The position is yours if you want it. Tarazed raised an eyebrow. I'm not a diplomat, sir. Precisely why they asked. For you specifically, they want the human who taught the Corvidans humility. After the transmission ended, Tarazed returned her gaze to Earth. From this distance, it looked peaceful, a blue-green jewel against the void. The reality was more complex. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself multiple times before reaching the stars. Those near-extinction events had taught hard lessons about power and restraint. Admiral, Reiko interrupted her thoughts, the crew has requested permission for a celebration once we dock. Approved, Tarazed replied. They've earned it. As they approached Earth's orbital defenses, dozens of ships moved into escort formation around the Thunder, a hero's welcome. You never told me, Reiko said quietly, what was in the classified section of Operation Thunderclap, the capabilities we didn't reveal at New Brisbane. Tarazed considered her executive officer for a long moment. Those systems remain theoretical. Commander. With respect, Admiral, I saw the engineering logs, the power diversions. Whatever we held back wasn't theoretical. Tarazed turned back to the view screen. The Corvidans and others needed to learn that humans are dangerous when provoked. But they didn't need to learn exactly how dangerous. The graviton tethers, the phase-shifting technology, those weren't our most advanced systems. The purpose of a deterrent, Commander, is to prevent its own use. The protocols create rules. The Thunder enforces them, but beyond enforcement lies obliteration. Reiko finished softly. Tarazed nodded. A option we work every day to avoid. They docked at Earth's primary orbital station. Tarazed addressed the ship's crew one final time as their commanding officer. When we departed 6 months ago, humanity was viewed as a minor species with delusions of relevance. Our rules were dismissed as the naive idealism of evolutionary newcomers. Today, those same rules form the backbone of galactic law. Throughout the massive ship, 12,000 crew members listened. Remember this, we didn't change the galaxy through conquest or intimidation. We changed it by demonstrating that principles and power can coexist. That restraint is not weakness, but wisdom. She paused, looking out at Earth and the vast human fleet assembled in greeting. Our journey doesn't end here. It begins. We've earned our place among the stars not by domination, but by insisting that even in the cold void of space, civilization can prevail over chaos. That is humanity's true strength. As the docking clamps engaged, securing the righteous Thunder to its berth, Admiral Laurel Tarazed allowed herself one final moment of reflection. The ship had been built for a universe where humanity stood alone against existential threats. Now it represented something more. The first step toward a galaxy where strength served justice rather than merely power. Admiral, Commander Reiko said, they're waiting for you. Tarazed nodded and straightened her uniform. Then let's not keep them waiting any longer. The real work is just beginning. She strode toward the airlock, ready to lead humanity into its new role, not just survivors in a hostile galaxy, but architects of a better one.